In the middle of Barberton on Mpumalanga, this is the Sheba gold mine, the richest gold mine ever discovered on the planet. Started mining here in 1886. They thought they'd discovered the source of King Solomon's mines in the area. The richest gold mine in the world, with Edwin Bray, the founder of this mine, way back in the early 1880s, became a worldwide phenomenon. Shares at a £1 face value certificate in 1886 went instantly on the London stock market at £150 a share. And they continue mining to this day. Here we are, 2014, and they're mining now. It's an incredible story, and we're going to unpack the whole of that story for you. We're sitting now on the Sheba Incline. It's a natural fault that breaks the basin of the Barbertonian Valley. These rocks are amongst the oldest exposed rocks ever discovered in the history of the planet. This, during the formation of the planet, was part of Gondwana land. We're sitting on seabed, as strange and as weird as that may seem now. And it was here that the original miners of 100 years ago came to mine and discover what lies below us, a small fault below the Bray's Golden Quarry, the richest gold mine in the world. Could you imagine giving up your life now and living literally on top of this mountain? You're 149 days from London here, by boat, by trek, and it was to here that Edward Peter Mathers trekked on a 3-week journey from across the border over in what we now call Mozambique, Delagoa Bay, Lorenzo Marx, to find the source and report back to his eager readers in Britain exactly what was going on here at Sheba. When Edward Mathers got here to write his famous tome, The Goldfields Revisited, based on a number of newspaper articles he sent back with a runner with an article placed in a cleft stick, who ran back to the coast at Delagoa Bay and waited for a ship to travel back with the documentation that Mathers had written to bring the news of the eager gold discoveries of the world. Mathers himself came here, Eureka City. This, the Victoria Hotel ruins, is well where he could have stayed. And from here, we met the inhabitants and descended into the valley to go and meet the founder of the richest gold mine in the world, Mr. Edwin Bray, a genial Yorkshireman who stumbled upon riches that were almost unheard of. Edward Mathers, the Victoria Hotel. This is Eureka today. Down below, the town of Barberton. That's where any significant ore had to be taken and crushed. Originally, in Rymers Creek in the middle of Barberton, gold was discovered by the two Barber brothers, Henry and Fred Barber. It was unhealthy down there, tsetse fly country. It was terrible. It was shocking. People were dying, malaria everywhere. That's why they chose to live here at Eureka City, on the top of the hill. The breeze, you can see it, you can feel it. It's the most incredible thing. The air was clean. The chances of not being bitten, not dying of tsetse, of malaria, of dysentery, was so much better. Barnsley. Patent glass from Barnsley in the UK. Bottle of gin, bottle of pop. All they did was shoot the tops off, throw them away when they were done. Once you'd drunk your fill, there wasn't much left to do with it, really. This was Tom Wood's store. This is where he had his horses kept. Most people who brought horses here watched them die. The horses were bitten to death by the tsetse fly and decimated in terms of their population. Tom Woods, who owned this place, must have made himself a lot of money treating sick horses, looking after sick horses. Like a bowl. Yeah. Coming for tea? We're serving on our very best china at the Queen of Sheba Hotel. All the way from Belgium, all the way from London. And now just fragments. Broken memories. You can see evidence of the scratching and the tunneling all the way through these hills. People coming to seek their fortunes, to seek that most precious of metals, the one that we've craved since the dawn of time. Had they discovered King Solomon's mines? The ridge that extended along the fault line all the way down with exposed rocks showed Barbertonian greenstone and quartz. It was a surefire way for a miner with primitive technology of identifying the possibility of gold. Back then, looking after what you mined wasn't so much of an issue. But this would have been your claim. This would have been your trench. This is what you'd come all the way from Cornwall for. You came, you dug, you sieved. More running water on these mountains back then, of course, than there was now, obviously due to forestry and the lowering of the water table per se. You needed running water to sluice your gold in the old gold buckets. But this is what you dug. This was your trench. This was why you'd come to Europe, from Europe, to hopefully discover your fortune. Your fortune was one spadeful away of soil. Or was it? Very few people made their money here. The ones who made it into the books, well, they were the lucky ones. There were thousands and thousands of others who came, tried, left, died, and disappeared in the pages of history. Whoever dug this trench, obviously in desperation, thought, no, it can't be this way then, let me dig this way. And just over this mound, there's even another deeper, bigger, wider trench. Was it here? It couldn't have been. That trench is shallower than this. Barberton, gold fever. Over the next rock, under the next rock, it could be anywhere, a nugget. And they found big nuggets. Nuggets of 17 pounds, 23 pounds of sheer solid gold. They also found an awful lot of chert, an awful lot of basalt, an awful lot of rock that ought to bear gold but didn't. And this is the evidence of one of those trenches. It goes deeper than we can see without a torch at this point in time. Obviously there's been some backfill here, but you can see the evidence of the mining and the cutting away that the guys would have had to put in to get down here. It goes right the way back. We're deep underground now in an adit that comes straight out of the side of the mountain. There are shafts where they've come down, obviously for ventilation. There's no support beam structure in here. It's probably dreadfully unsafe. The health and safety people would be freaking out at this point in time. But as you can see much along the way ahead of you, this tunnel just goes on and on and on. This was a mine of some significance. They would have taken out everything they possibly could from here. It just walks and goes, and it's remarkable. Okay, we've reached a pit. It's deep by the sound of it. Let's throw a rock down and find out. Not too bad. They obviously found a seam here. They've come straight through the roof and they've gone down into it. Obviously barricaded off for the sake of safety here. And I'm not terribly sure how far the mine tunnel goes on from now. It looks like the reef may have diverted. They've pinched it, changed it. And if you come to the edge and peer down with me, you can see a further tunnel goes underneath where we're standing now, directly into the face beneath us as well. There are tunnels everywhere here. Walls here have been packed in with rock that they've taken out when they've blasted. Obviously to support the sides of the cave. You can see water dripping through naturally, still coming through to us now. They needed to support the infrastructure here to make sure that this mine could be viable. This must have produced a lot of gold. Edwin Bray, the Golden Quarry, interviewing the discoverer. It was early on a peaceful Sunday morning I descended from Eureka City into the Sheba Valley to see the world-renowned Sheba Reef, at one time known by the name of Bray's Golden Quarry. I'd been accompanied by a friend who'd offered to introduce me to Mr. Edwin Bray, the discoverer of the quarry itself, who did very well by and for the fields. He'll always be closely associated with its early history. A downhill walk of about 20 minutes from Eureka brought us to the residence of the fortunate and popular pioneer. We asked him about the quarry. We've put a drive in down below and we get visible gold from 200 to 300 feet, he said. We've got another drive at 140 feet and we get visible gold in both. We're going to take the face of it down more into the quarry. Is that the proper way to mine it, I asked. It's the cheapest way we're going to work it, he said. When the tramway's finished, we're going to make use of the bottom drives and run wagons into the quarry. I'm going to tip all the stuff down a shaft from the quarry and have it taken out on trucks further down. For 20 years, Mr. Bray had been searching for mineral deposits in the Transvaal. He'd always believed it was one of the richest places in the world. He'd roughed it here for more than 12 months down below in Moody's camp, but finds himself now none the worse the wear for his many adventures. And so, listening to him, chatting cheerily to the last, we bade him goodbye. He died shortly afterwards, on the 14th of July, 1886 at the age of 63. And the Barberton community lost one of its finest members. These steps, this book, this place. Edwin Bray, the discoverer of the Sheba mine, Bray's golden quarry. So rich, everyone thought they'd found it King Solomon's mines.
I'm gonna have a squeeze at some of those.
This is why they came. This is what they were hunting for. And to find it in samples as good as this or as rich as this. And the gold in the Barbertonian greenstone often looked a little bit harder to find, harder to spot. But there's your combination of quartz and Barberton greenstone together with thin little veins of gold running through. That's what they were trenching for. That's what they were digging out. Looking to find and crush and extract the value of gold. Barberton greenstone. Rare samples indeed. Look at this one. If you found one of these, you'd dig all day. You'd dig all night. It's extraordinary. Just all that glitters in this case is very much gold. Look at the glittering and the light on there. Just remarkable. Gives me the fever.
Fever!
Indiana Jones, live. This is the bottom end of the Sheba Road. We're driving up now to Bray's famous golden quarry. This is the richest gold mine ever in the world discovered here. And we're going to go into the cavern. It's the size of the Royal Albert Hall. It'll feel like we're on the surface of the moon when we get into there. It is one of the wonders of the world as far as I'm concerned. And it's going to be the most spectacular thing we've ever seen. You won't believe how people dug this out by hand by the time we get to it. It almost seems inconceivable that men lowered themselves by ropes and ladders and a system of pulleys and dug deep into the bowels of the earth. I mean, it's beneath the mountain that we're looking at here now. It's inside there. It's remarkable. So here we are, the entrance to the Golden Quarry. Wow. We're gonna go deep inside now. This is it. This is what made Barberton famous. Bray's Golden Quarry.
Ooh, this is gonna be fun. Yeah, right. Never seen it like this before.
Okay.
Might be easier to come on the side, isn't it?
I think so. Huge rainstorm last night. We've almost got our own waterfall pouring into the Golden Quarry here as we sit in the bowels of the mountain itself. Can you imagine discovering this and earning billions of dollars as a direct result of it? This is staggering. It is absolutely extraordinary. The tunnels go off at angles. I'm sitting on an old piece of mining abandoned machinery here. And this was mined all the way through from the 1880s all the way through until the 1940s. Again, reminder, it's dug by hand. It's the most remarkable tale. They found seams and leads of gold within this concept. All they were looking for. Pack it in. Find the quartz. Find the quartz veins within. Get them out and crush them. This is what made the richest gold mine in the world.